The detectives and criminals are once again on opposite sides of the table in the Netflix original series Criminal UK. Is this verbal game of cat and mouse worth the binge? Detectives sit in an interrogation room interviewing suspects, while their colleagues sit on the opposite side of a one-way mirror, assisting and helping to unravel the clues. This plays out a lot like a play. I mean, there is minimal setting and completely dialogue-driven. This season's stories are quite compelling, and they're really filled with tension. Each of them is emotional and taut, and you feel the urgency that is building almost from the beginning of every episode. To offset the anxiety, there is a small amount of humor that's shared between the detectives. Now, this isn't your laugh out loud type of funny. I mean, it's much more subtle. It's much more subdued also. Each of these cases sucked me in because they weren't always what I thought they were going to be. And how something begins is not necessarily how it's going to end. Now, all the players in this are spectacular. I mean, truly it is like watching a production of a play where every single word matters. Each line of dialogue has to be executed just expertly, conveying so much emotion and depth and with the right timing because there's nothing else to convey what's going on. The emotional impact of the story really does rest on the actors themselves. There's no cutaway scenes where we go to an action or even imagery or anything else. It is truly just our actors sitting on opposite sides of the table in this interrogation room, and they're carrying it. And every bit has to be it has to be so compelling that we don't get bored, that we want to know what is going to happen, that there has to be some misdirection or some intrigue and interest tied into what's going on. And because this is dealing with crimes, a level of mystery has to be present also. And I think they execute it really well because they do put in a good amount of mystery. And like I said, how things start out is not necessarily how they're going to end, and not necessarily in the way you expect them to end. This is the second season for the show Criminal as a whole. The first season had 4 different countries, each of them with a couple of episodes. And some of them were really compelling, other ones were just kind of okay. I am loving, though, how they have brought back just a single country for season 2, at least for right now, as of the time that I'm recording. And Criminal UK is actually a very solid entry for season 2. Each episode is different enough so that it adds that interest and that differentiation between what's going on. So not every case just seems like the last one that we watched, but they also are able to carry the tone of the show throughout each episode. Predictably, each of the episodes are dark, and they're typically dealing with assault or murder, and so the content is quite heavy. But it's certainly not run-of-the-mill predictable, and it's not so heavy where it just makes you totally depressed because you're watching it. I like that a lot of these also have a twist to them, and not all of them come like at the end or even in the middle. Some of them come towards the beginning of the episode. So if you were a fan of the first season, regardless of what country, this one should be pretty enjoyable for you. There are 4 episodes, like I've said, and I'm not sure I could pick a favorite out of this. It's also important to know that you should probably watch them in the order that they're set in by Netflix because there is a larger character arc, little story that is going on with the detectives, and that continuity does play out episode to episode to episode. I had a lot of fun with season 2 of Criminal UK. I am hoping that Netflix will bring more of the other countries that they had introduced before in season 1 back for a second season, at least some of them. But as it stands, I'm highly satisfied with what I did get to see. There's no sex, nudity, or violence, but there is a lot of profanity and descriptions of violence, including sexual violence. I give season 2 of Criminal UK 4.5 out of 5 couches. Were you a fan of season 1? Do you have a favorite country maybe from that season? Or were you just looking forward to seeing a second season of Criminal UK? I'd love to know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.